Our next speaker is Ray Harris. Ray is the president of Iraq Veterans Against the War here in the Pacific Northwest. He served and fought in the U.S. military in Iraq from November 2006 to December 2007. He was born in state in Oregon, and he's here to talk about ending the occupations and the war. Ray Harris.
Stop clapping. This is not a celebration. This is not a holiday. We're dying. Our sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters are dying on your behalf in an illegal, unconstitutional war for profit against the sovereign state of Afghanistan and Iraq. And now our government has taken it upon itself to start killing people in Pakistan with your money. 2 days ago, 38 people were killed in Pakistan with bombs that you paid for. The U.S. government says that they were militants. The Pakistani government says that they were peaceful demonstrators. Who do you believe? Earlier this month, 9 kids were killed in Afghanistan by a drone. Boo! They were killed by Apache helicopters that you purchased. We are governed by a war machine, a military-industrial complex that seeks only to serve itself and expand its powers. It has no interest in shrinking. Does anybody even remember the government asking us for permission to bomb Pakistanis? I don't remember that at all. The war on terror is a racket, and you are paying for it. Truth is the first casualty of war. I saw the sign. The worst enemy of the war machine is truth. But in America, our government punishes those who expose truth with methods fit only for war criminals. Bradley Manning is a hero. We deserve the information. Here's some faces you don't see on the news. These guys were killed in Iraq, St. Patty's Day, 2007. I was there. They're not coming back. Nobody who dies comes back. Lots of people are dying. And the money that the government steals from you doesn't just go to kill people in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. We fund oppressive governments all over the world, from the Taliban to the former government of Egypt.
Yeah.
Even bin Laden.
Even bin Laden.
Fact. That's a fact.
It is a fact.
We assisted bin Laden to fight against...
Doing what we're doing today puts victory within our grasp. We have to do it often, we have to do it loud. If we don't persevere, if we don't continue doing what we're doing and speaking out, gathering, peaceably assembling, our future will surely look like a boot stamping on a human face forever. End the war. Stop the bloodshed for profit and bring my friends home.
We just heard of the waste of resources, not only human lives, but what we use to help human lives. Our next speaker is Barbara Dudley, and she's going to speak on money for human needs, not war. Barbara Dudley is co-chair of the Oregon Working Families Party, an adjunct professor at Portland State University, formerly head of Greenpeace USA and the National Lawyers Guild, and currently working to get us a state bank in Oregon. Please welcome Barbara Dudley.
Many of us have been, boy, it's very hard to follow Ray. Excuse me. Many of us have been at many rallies this week and last week. We've been at rallies for jobs. We've been at rallies to support the workers in Wisconsin. We've been at rallies to support unions, the right to join a union, the right to engage in collective bargaining. We've been at rallies against the Wall Street banks. We've been at rallies against rising tuition and privatization of our universities. And now here we are at a rally for peace against these perpetual Orwellian cruel wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and now Libya. We spend over $1 trillion a year on war. We call it defense. We call it homeland security, but it's war, and we mustn't forget that. And it's not making us or anyone else in the world any safer. Our young people face a terrible, terrible choice. They're told they need a college degree to get a job in this, quote, new economy. They can go into extraordinary debt to get a college education, even at a so-called public school. Or they can join the military. They can spend 2 or 3 or 4 years fighting wars that have no purpose other than survival, hoping to come home in one piece and get through college with a little less debt. And all the while, a job, a house, health care are more out of reach than ever. But these wars are making some people very rich, and we shouldn't forget that. Those same people who are demanding that teachers work for less money, that they give up their pensions and their health care, just as the auto workers did, just as the steel workers did, just as the workers, the machinists in the defense industry plants did, because they have been forced to give up their right to participate in this economy. If we put all the state's budget shortfalls together for this coming year, they would total $125 billion. Compare that to the trillion we spend on these wars. And compare that to the $700 billion we spent bailing out Wall Street. When is the last time a Wall Street bank or any corporation shed a drop of blood for this country? When is the last time a corporation rushed into a wall of fire to save a wounded buddy? Or to save a community from a nuclear meltdown? When is the last time a corporation shed a tear for an orphan killed by these wars? We all know that war is not the path to democracy. We've seen it proven in Egypt. We've seen it proven in Tunisia. And we'll see it, God willing, proven in Libya and Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. But in fighting these wars, we have lost our own democracy. We have to focus our energies here at home on winning that battle, on taking back our country, on winning our own democracy. Thank you.
8 years ago today, the war in Iraq began. It's been 20 years since the Gulf War began. October marks the 9 years in Afghanistan. That's a long time to be at war. Our next speaker is Francisco Lopez. Francisco is a Salvadoran American that came to the United States in 1985 as a refugee from the war in El Salvador. He fled El Salvador because of the risks involved in his work in the pro-democracy movement during the Civil War. Francisco is a member of the Queen of Peace Catholic Church in South Salem. He is director of CASA, Oregon's Immigrant Rights Coalition, the largest Latino organization in the Pacific Northwest. He has 30 years of experience in organizing leadership development and social service. Welcome, please, Francisco Lopez.
Buenas tardes. You know, once upon a time in this town, there was a candidate for president that came to Portland. And he came to Portland, to Salem, Woodburn, Eugene, Bend, and he made many promises. He did. He said that he would close Guantanamo in the first year of his administration. He promised that he will end to the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. He promised that he will find political negotiated solutions to wars and conflicts. He promised that he will legalize 11 million immigrants here in the United States. He made many promises. What we have done now, first thing that he did, rather than bailing out our working class families, he came and bailed out the big corporations. That's what he did. Rather than closing Guantanamo, he has kept it open. Rather than finding political negotiated solutions to conflicts, conflicts continue. And they are going, he's continuing with the ambition of expanding military involvement of the United States and other parts of the world. Also, he has done many things that are violating the civil rights of Muslim Americans in this country. What are all those promises that he made? Mr. President, we need to tell him, we want you to succeed, but in order to succeed, we want you to keep your promises. You will come again here next year, asking for those votes again. But we want to hear from you, what have you done for working class Americans? Where were you in Wisconsin and Madison, where people were marching for their survival? Where were you when 500,000 of immigrants were deported last year? Where were you, Mr. President? But Mr. President, we want to make sure that you do the right thing. The first thing, bring the troops back home. Bring the troops back home. Now a year, not in 2 years. We wanted them now. You know, I know what war is, and I came to this country escaping from war. I know what it is when a 500-pound bomb is dropping over your head and the head of many people. So, Mr. President, what is your message of hope that you brought to Portland? So now, we all Oregonians, we all Americans, we need to work hard and make sure that we tell the President that we want peace. That we want peace, but we want peace with justice. Not just around the world, but here in Oregon and the United States. Yes. We want justice now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Yeah. So now I just want to tell you that here in Oregon, we are working to respond to the needs of our immigrant families. We are working on our state legislature to make sure that many undocumented youth can go to college and have an education. We want to make sure that immigrants have access to a driver's license so they can drive freely. And at the end, we want to make sure that in this Multnomah County, the Sheriff's Department stops working with ICE, because it's destroying the families and separating families. We want that this community respect human rights. And we need to do it not in a month, not in a year, not in a second term. We want it now. Se puede. Thank you.